Hey everybody, this is GGB. Today we're going to be talking about the Thursday night football game. At 7:20 we got the Rams sitting at 3-1, traveling to the Seahawks, who are now 2-2 after a win last week against the Niners. Rams favored by 2.5 points in this game on Fox. I lost my first... Sorry guys, I have like a really bad throat thing going on. I know, it seems like I just go from sickness to sickness, but yeah, no, that's what's been going on for me lately. I've been going on from sickness to sickness, and this throat thing, honestly, it hurts really bad. It's like every time I swallow, it's like a stabbing pain. Anyways, enough about me. Actually, let's talk about me a little bit more. I got my first Thursday night football pick last week wrong. The last 3 weeks, I'd gotten them perfect. I think I got the spreads right. I get the games right. I'm 4-0 with the spreads, but unfortunately I picked the Jaguars to win last week, which just did not happen. The Bengals were able to pull that one out in the end. The Rams, though, in this game, the Rams are coming off a really heartbreaking loss, but if you look at the team, outside of the injury to Cam Akers at the beginning of the year, they're not suffering that many injuries this year. They have Tremaine Ankrum, who's like a backup offensive guard for them, I think. It was a 7th round 2020 pick. He could come back for this week, and he's one of the only 2 players on the roster that's hurt that could come back this year. And the other one's Justin Hollins. He's a linebacker. He's a 5th round pick out of Oregon. He can't return until week 8. But again, the Rams have not suffered that many injuries. Let's go to the Seahawks on the other hand. They have some really notable injuries this week. I'm sure everyone knows that Rashad Penny has been hurt. Went on to IR this week with his calf injury. As soon as he can come back is week 7. But the troubling thing at the running back situation is Chris Carson did not play this week with a neck injury. He's always questionable for this week. And the replacement then would be Alex Collins, which Alex Collins has not done bad. Actually, he was really good against the Niners last week. But it's really ideal for everyone that Alex Collins sticks in his number 2 role, Chris Carson in the 1 role, because when Alex Collins moves up to the 1 role, you got to move up someone else to the 2 role, which would be either Travis Homer or DJ Dallas. Travis Homer right now is ahead of him on the depth chart, and let's be honest, Seahawks fans, I don't really want Travis Homer to be my number 2 back, but that's what we could have. Dwayne Eskridge suffered a concussion last week. He's going to be out for this game. The replacement's going to be Penny Hart, so he's going to fill in that number 4 receiver role behind DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Freddie Swain. Penny Hart's a 2nd-year player out of Georgia State. Defenses end Benson Mayowa has had a neck injury. He had a full practice on Wednesday, but he's questionable for this game. He's not a starting defensive end, if you didn't know. He's a backup defensive end, more of a depth player for the Seahawks. And then tight end Gerald Everett will be out for this week with a COVID-19 positive. So that means Will Dissly, like everyone knows, the guy out of Washington a couple years back, is going to be starting in place of Gerald Everett. So the Rams are coming off a heartbreaking loss, which is against the Cards. But when I say heartbreaking loss, they got crushed by the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are a really good football team this year. So I don't think the Rams should be that embarrassed. And we all knew at some point, you hope your team wins every week. Eventually, they're going to lose, unless you're like the Miami Dolphins. They're going to lose eventually. It's about how you bounce back from that loss. Seahawks bounced back from their 1-2 start with a very good win against the Niners this week. Unfortunately for the Niners, that is, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. You're throwing a rookie QB in a situation that's not ideal to begin with. We'll talk about the Niners a little bit later on in the week, but the Seahawks right now look like a really good football team. But the injuries are starting to mount up for them. The defense, I'm never positive the Seahawks defense is going to be good. They had the Legion of Boom, and then after that Legion of Boom disbanded, it's been like eek. Whew. It's not good. But sorry, throw it again. I love the Rams. I've been saying from the beginning I love the Rams. I'm a little bit worried about their run game still because, to me, it's just Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel have not been popping off. I hope Cam Akers would this year. But we're looking at it. The Rams, I still think you have Matthew Stafford, who's really good. through the air. Obviously, the passing game, you have some really great threats in Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Deshaun Jackson. And not to mention Van Jefferson, who's coming off the bench, being a little slot player, and he's doing really well in his role. And not to mention Tyler Higbee, who's very phenomenal in his tight end one role. I love the Rams on offense. The Rams defense is also very solid. Hawks offense has been a little bit up and down for me. Obviously, like they said in the last game I was watching, they had the best first half offense and the worst second half offense. And like one of the worst second half offenses. It's insane how good they flipped the script last week. Had a very good second half. They did not have a good first half against the Niners. I'm worried about all these injuries mounting up. The fact is, I don't think you can have your number 1 and number 2 running back go down at the beginning. They were your number 1 and number 2 heading into the year, and Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. Now you're going on to Alex Collins, who's a very good player. 5th-round pick out of Arkansas in 2016. He was with the Ravens for a good amount of time. He's solid. But I feel like there's going to be a little bit of drop-off in talent, which means you're going to rely on Russell Wilson more, which isn't horrible. But also you're losing Gerald Everett and Wayne Eskridge. I feel like these injuries are going to start mounting up for them. Rams have been really lucky injury-wise, outside of the Cam Akers injury. I'm picking the Rams to win this game. Plus, the Rams were my Super Bowl pick. I'm in love with the Rams. Give me the Rams to win and cover this spread. At 6:30, we got number 15, Coastal Carolina, traveling to Arkansas State in the first... Oh, sorry. That's so much pain. In the first college football game of the weekend that really matters. Again, as the season goes on, I predict less and less in these games because there's less and less important matchups. This is a somewhat important matchup because, again, Coastal Carolina is a playoff candidate. They're at number 15, so it's not inconceivable. We've seen crazier things happen this year than number 15 moving up a couple slots. There's some crazy stuff that could happen this weekend, so watch out. How did Coastal Carolina's season go so far? Let's see. They started out with a 52-14 win over the Citadel at home. They've only played one road game, by the way, so this is going to be interesting. Then they had a 49-22 win over Kansas. Then they ended up squeaking by 28-25 win at Buffalo. And then the last 2 weeks they've skated by with a 53-3 win over UMass and a 59-6 win over UL Monroe. Grayson McCall last week was perfect, 13-13, threw for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. Reese White, the running back, ended up having 15 carries for 95 yards, and Isaiah Likely was their leading receiver with 5 catches for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Arkansas State, on the other hand, started out the season pretty good, a 40-21 win over Central Arkansas, but then they ended up their season going downhill. They lost a 55-50 matchup against Memphis, 52-3 matchup against Washington, a 41-34 win loss at Tulsa, and then for the last week culminating in a horrible 59-23 loss. 59-33 loss at Georgia Southern. Last week, James Blackman, their starting quarterback, went 28-43, threw for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Lincoln Pear, their running back, had 7 carries for 54 yards, and Jeff Foreman, their leading receiver, had 6 catches for 83 yards. So how have these matchups gone up in the past? Coastal Carolina is only 1-3 against Arkansas State all time. But last it was a 52-23 win last year. It was their first win against Arkansas State in 2020. This would be the first time they won at Arkansas State. They've never traveled to Arkansas State and been able to beat them. So this is going to be an interesting test. The Red Wolves have normally been a very good Sun Belt program. They're not this year. So if ever Coastal Carolina is going to take advantage of that, it's this year. It's going to be really interesting. Coastal Carolina is going to get App State this year, and App State, as we all know, has been a phenomenal football program for many years now. So that game's a one to mark on your calendars if you're a fan of some Group of 5 football. That one, and I think that SMU-Cincinnati game are ones you just have to circle on your calendar because you're going to see some absolute fireworks, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Coastal Carolina, in my opinion, has a great quarterback in Grayson McCall. And honestly, we're talking about some Power 5 quarterbacks, and really they do deserve to get the love. I love what Bryce Young has been doing with Alabama. Spencer Rattler hasn't been horrible with Oklahoma. Those are literally the only 2 QBs I can think of now at the top of my head. I've been doing well. JT Daniels hasn't played the past few weeks, so obviously he can't be really in contention for it. Like, we can't list him as one of the contenders right now. DJU has not been phenomenal over the past couple of weeks. Yeah, it's really it. The top 4 teams, if you look at it, JT Daniels hasn't played a lot. Sean Clifford is obviously not killing anyone with his arm, although he's been playing very solid football, but he's not a Heisman candidate. Spencer Petras, again, very good game manager, doing a good job with the Hawkeyes, doing what he needs to win, but again, not Heisman candidate. You look at everyone else, Michigan State. Maybe you can look at running backs, but if you're talking about QBs, talking about Grayson McCall, you're going to be talking about Bryce Young, you're going to be talking about Desmond Ridder. Those are the best quarterbacks left of the playoff candidates. I love Grayson McCall. From what I've seen of him, now to be fair, it's not a lot, because, again, I don't have any access to many Coastal Carolina games, and I'm not going to have access to this one because I don't have ESPNU. But I love watching Grayson McCall throw the football around. Coastal Carolina is honestly a lot of fun to watch. And I feel like certain things go right. Again, you're a Coastal Carolina fan, you're rooting for everyone above you to lose. You're going to have to get some real luck. But again, Coastal Carolina is a legitimate playoff threat right here at number 15. They can sneak in. I love Coastal Carolina this one. I think they're a much, much better team than Arkansas State. Give me Coastal Carolina to win and cover that 19.5 point spread.